The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you.
One Sabbath, when Jesus went to dine at the house of a ruler of the Pharisees, they were watching him carefully. Now he told a parable to those who were invited. When he noticed how they chose the places of honor, saying to them, when you are invited by someone to a wedding feast, do not sit down in a place of honor, lest someone more distinguished than you be invited by him, and he who invited you both will come and say to you, give your place to this person. And then you will begin with shame to take the lowest place. But when you are invited, go and sit in the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he may say to you, friend, move up higher. Then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at table with you. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. He said also to the man who had invited him, when you give a dinner or a banquet, do not invite your friends or your brothers and sisters or your relatives or rich neighbors, lest they also invite you in return and you be repaid. For when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you. For you will be repaid at the resurrection of the just. The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. Words we heard this morning taken from the Gospel of Luke chapter 14, 1 to 14. The first reading of today and the Gospel both have one thing in common. They both speak about humility. According to the first reading, the greater you are, the more humbler or the humbler you must act. For God humbles or glorifies the humble, and the humble finds favor in the sight of God. In the gospel, using a parable, Jesus teaches us that whoever lives himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. In the light of these readings, may we talk briefly today about humility. What does it mean to be humble? For many people, humility is about thinking less of yourself. It's about being simple or living a simple life, a modest life, even when you can afford a more luxurious and sophisticated lifestyle. I read an interesting article in one of the platforms in the social media some time ago about Pope Francis. May God rest him. The writer writing about him presented Pope Francis as a very simple and humble Pope who lived a simple life, lived in a simple apartment, shunning the luxurious and sophisticated apostolic palace. His cross was not gold but simple silver, and his fisherman's ring was not gold but also a simple silver. His shoes are like those ones we can get from our Primark. And then he had a very simple car, very small. Without making a comparison anywhere, talking about the new Pope, he said, Pope Leo is moving into the apostolic palace, very big, unlike his predecessor. Pope Leo also wears golden cross and golden ring. And often his shoes are elegant. Now, in your mind, do you think that Pope Leo is not as humble as Pope Francis simply because of where he had chosen to live and the things he wears? Anyway, let's leave those in the Vatican and come down around us. Who do you think is humble between a parish priest who drives the latest Tesla and another parish priest who, although could afford such Tesla, but have chosen to drive a little car like Kia Picanto? Who do you think is humble between a billionaire CEO who flies private jets and another billionaire CEO who could also afford such private jet but decided to be flying economy? Who do you think is humble among these four persons? Sometimes we think that when people shun positions of authority and power, they do so because of humility. No, I don't want to be the manager. I just want to be just here. Often people will think that are humble are not necessarily humble. Because humility is not about where you live. It's not about what you drive. It's not about also the rich putting on a poor quality clothes, or you choosing to live in an apartment in Slough Center when you can afford a mansion in Stockporges. As far as Christian perspective, or when humility is considered as a Christian perspective, it's not about where we live and what we wear. Although there could be elements of humility in those choices, lifestyles, and also options. But what actually does it mean from Christian perspective to be a humble person? A humble person is someone who is guided by two basic principles. Number one, a humble person understands and lives with the conviction that he is a dependent person. He recognizes their 100% reliance on God for who they are, what they have achieved, and whatever they will be. God is everything in their life. They believe that their life is owned by God. It's not theirs. Everything about them. A renowned CEO, talking about his partner who died in a plane crash, in a helicopter crash, said that nothing has ever humbled him in life than seeing the arches of his partner in a little vessel. That John was the heartbeat of their company. He could tell you what will happen tomorrow regarding their business. He could tell you their net profits in the year ending. He could also make projections about business, and it will be that way. That John had everything under his control. But today he has come to understand that though John could predict their business fortunes, but John couldn't predict his destiny. That although John had control of their business, but John hadn't control of one thing, his life. So sometimes when we want to brag, when we want to massage our ego, may we remember that this life is owned. And when we have that kind of conception and belief, certainly it will guide us. It don't need to be told to be humble again. When you know that you know everything, but you don't know what's going to happen when you live here. It makes you live a life of someone who is entirely dependent. The second principle that guides and also what facilitates the options and decisions and the entire life of a humble person is that they understand the value of the other person. That understanding influences or conditions how they treat people around them, how they see people around them. I give you a personal example. Shortly, I became a priest. After I became a priest, there was this guy in my village. He was known for his drinking habits. He was indeed a nuisance, actually. So a few times he came around for help, and I did help. But that particular day, I was not very well disposed. I was not in my element, I would say. I was not very happy. So he came around asking for help. And I said to him, Joseph, I'm not giving you anything. Get out from this house. I was mean, actually. He said, please. I said, no. Get out from this house. In his frustration, he said to me, Father Nathaniel, I'm asking you for help, and you're driving me away. One day, you will need my help. I said, wow. Me? Need your help? Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Not today, not tomorrow. He left. About 14 years after, I was preparing for the funeral of my mom. I needed someone in the village to manage the car park and the parking. All the inquiries I made in the village all recommended Joseph. I said, no, there should be another way to go about it. So I decided to ask my brothers, please speak with Joseph and ask me if he could help us. They went to him and he said to them, tell Father Nathaniel to call me. I started I remembered vividly my encounter with him, and he does too. He remembered it. So I had to swallow my pride, because at that time, John was my only best option, Joseph. So I had to call him. When I did, he said, oh, Father, is it you now? So please, Joseph, I need help with car parking. Consider it done, just to tell you that I can also be of help to you. In my pride, I dismissed him 14 years ago. He has not changed anywhere. In my pride, I told myself that John will never be of any help to me. I devalued him. In my myopic estimation, I didn't see John as someone important. And that influenced the way I treated him. Humble people consider and value the people around them. And that is why in the gospel of today, Jesus, talking about humility, said to the man, if you are doing anything, please remember the poor, those who are not important, those we consider insignificant, the blind, the lame, not just your friends. So, dear friends, the question today is, it is not about what I wear. It's not about where I live. It's how, number one, the mentality I have about life. Do I understand actually that my life is owned? Do I understand that you are important and that I must value you, treat you? These are the principles that should guide anyone who is humble. And this principle will determine, therefore, the choices I make, whether I want to fly by economy or whatever, whether I would like to brag about my achievements or be quiet about it, whether I'll be able to consider you a partner in life. Do I really consider myself a dependent person? Or do I think often I can do it all by myself? I don't need you. And when I see you, what do I see? Someone I don't need. Someone I can discard. Joseph taught me a lesson of life, that sometimes in our pride, we might dismiss people. But life teaches us that everyone is important to us. If not now, maybe tomorrow.